And a very pleasant good afternoon, and welcome to the QCast Season 2, Episode 15. And wow, another exciting episode of the QCast. Kind of a special one here today, as I'm joined by Yeshiva All-American basketball player Ryan Turell, who has kind of set the D3 world afire the last several years. And Ryan, this is a long time coming. It is an honor to have you on the QCast. How the heck are you doing?
Um, Obviously I could be doing better if we were still playing. But I'm honored to be on the show. I'm a big fan and, watched many episodes. I wouldn't say every episode, but many episodes. And I'm excited to do it.
Did you watch the Gabriel Leifer episode? That's the key.
Of course, man. Of course I watched the franchise episode.
Okay. Just making sure you watch my guy Gabe, and it's an honor to have you on here. And look, let me just lay this out for some folks here. I've got some superlatives that I want to. These are insane. So this season, Ryan Turell, 27 points a game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot 59% from the field and 47% from three. He's the all-time leading scorer at Yeshiva. On his career, he's a 58% shooter and 45% from three on his career. He had a 51-point game. As a Mac, his teams are 80 and 13 in his 4 seasons. 80 and 13. This season, the Macs finished 25 and 4, 14 and 2. There's a bunch of other superlatives here that my guy Poppers helped me out with, Ryan. But look, I know you're not an individual guy, and that's been very clear in your podcast and your interviews. But does it blow you away a little bit when you think of some of these numbers and some of these accomplishments over the course of your career?
It's honestly unbelievable. When I think the coolest stat was 80 and what
80
13.
and 13.
I think that's a pretty cool stat, because at the end of the day, it's all about winning. You can average 40 a game, you can average 35 a game, but if you don't get the job done, no one cares. And I'd be happy averaging 15 a game, and if we won the national championship. So at the end of the day, it's about winning for me, and I know I couldn't have gotten those numbers without my running mate Gabe Leifer, who's the best passer in Division III basketball, and arguably the best rebounder and definitely the best teammate. So I'm grateful for him and all my teammates that helped me along the way.
Really was a special nucleus this year that you had, so much experience and leadership, and just the pieces that you guys had assembled. While it's fresh, let's talk about the way the season ended against Johns Hopkins. I know that was a really tough one, but let's talk about that game a little bit. So first of all, you guys play great in the Skyline tournament, and you get yourselves in via that Pool A bid. You get matched up with Johns Hopkins. The game is at Stockton, so you travel there, and it was a great game. They jump out and kind of take control of the game somewhere midway first half into the second half. You guys make a furious comeback though. And let's first take that shot you hit, the three you hit left wing to get it to 2 with like 40 seconds left. Walk us through that play. Walk us through what you're thinking on that possession. And, when that shot goes, just talk us through that big basket.
Well, we were running a press, and we got Delaney kind of stuck in a trap in the backcourt, and Ethan Lasco did an amazing job of kind of stunting towards the front guy, but being in between, and he got an incredible steal, a timely steal that we needed. He got one, he threw it up to me. I think I threw it to Gabe, or he threw it to Gabe. Somebody threw it to Gabe, and I kind of rubbed off him, and I'm like, we need a bucket, and I felt in rhythm for a step back, so I decided, hey, what the hell, I'm gonna do it, and it felt good the whole way, and it went in. I didn't realize we were down 5 at that point. I thought we were down 8 because for whatever reason that the scoreboard that game was it was late or whatever, so I didn't realize we were down 5. I thought we were down 8 or something like that, and I was just trying to chip away at the lead, and then I look up at the score and we're down 2. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right.
So yeah.
And then moments later, so you cut it to 2. And by the way, I was watching on the stream. didn't do it any justice. I imagine that Max Nation there at the Stockton gym was
Oh,
going
it was,
bonkers
uh,
after you hit that shot, right?
yeah, no, Max Nation is insane. You know, they'll come to, you know, they have Shabbos, you know, they have a Sabbath they got to worry about, and they're coming all the way up to Stockton and supporting us. It's just unbelievable. And I heard somebody on the ball bought them say yesterday. I hopped on their podcast for a little bit. That people wanted me to go for the 3 for the win and not try to hit the 2 because of overtime and the Sabbath. They couldn't. They're just like try to hit a 3, try to hit a 3, which is hilarious. But yeah, the Max Faithful is insane.
It was intense for sure. And I could tell that from a stream how loud it got in there. So then you get the ball back 15 seconds down 2. I believe you guys called timeout, or one of the
Yeah,
two teams called timeout.
full timeout.
What were you drawing up in there? To me, what I would draw up was kind of what Ellie did, which is we're going to inbound it to Turell and he's going to try to do something. So that's what I would, and I think that's what Elliot ran, but to talk about the options there of that final play.
So there was an option of a pick and roll that could have happened, but you know it kind of got clogged on the left side, so I rejected it and took it to the middle to the right elbow where I was going to do, you know, a pull up jump shot, which I've practiced millions of times,
Right.
you know, counting down the clock in my head, you know, and you know I got there and I saw there was no way he was gonna let me pull up. Like I'm gonna pump fake here. And I pump faked and, you know, got him out of the way and stepped through and to a shot that I always hit and a shot that I'm very comfortable shooting. And, you know, I just missed it. You know, it happens and I missed the shot. And if I can get it back again, I would try to bank it maybe. But
Right.
you know,
Tough
it
distance, but like that's kind of been one of your shots. I mean, you got a great look. And look, sometimes these things go in and sometimes they don't. You got a great look. I've watched the play a few times. I think had you dished it to Ofek, I
yeah,
think his angle was really tough though, Ryan. Like when you know this better than me, but when you're coming off that baseline and that at that weird angle where it's kind of hard to bank it and it's really hard to make it without the bank,
right.
I feel like where he was coming from, that was going to be a very difficult shot for him.
Right.
I mean, look, you got a great look, right? You got to be really happy with, you know, what you did to pump fake, get under there, and
Right.
you've probably made that 7 to 10 times in your career, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I really thought that, you know, that was the best look that we could have gotten. Now, watching the film, Ofek cutting back door, I could have definitely dished it off to him, but you know, you know, you got to live with those decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Yeshiva Nation can live with how that whole thing played out. There were some people after the game that were wondering, did Ryan bringing the ball up the floor in that moment, you know, tire him out in some way? But to me, you wanted the ball in your hands the whole time, because then you could read and you could have people collapse on you and you can make a decision. Can you just dispel that myth that somehow that you bringing the ball up the floor was a bad
No,
thing there?
it didn't. No, it didn't get me tired. It definitely didn't get me tired. Yeah, and we got the shot that, you know, we wanted. I remember Aton and Gabe and all the guys coming up after me. It's like, that's the shot we want. You know, that's the shot we want. You make that, you know, 7 and 10 times. We'll take
Absolutely. It was a great look. And I mean, look, the thing could have went in, we could have went to overtime. It could, like, a lot of things could have happened. And this is why we love the tournament, because there's these moments and
that.
there's, you know, jubilation on one side and there's heartache.
Right.
And that's how these things go. As you look at the season, Ryan, how do you sum up kind of the journey that was 2021, 22, as it's kind of, you know, in the rear view mirror a little bit now? How do you look back at this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thankful to every one of my teammates and coaches, you know, for an incredible year. We had our ups, we had our downs. I felt like that we really started rolling in that conference tournament and playing well. And you know, if you know, Carson James doesn't go 7 for 10 from 3,
That's right.
it could be a different game. But at the end of the day, you got to tip your yarmulkes off to, you know, Johns Hopkins, you know, for getting the job, and Carson James for getting hitting big shots and getting the job done. But overall, I'm just, you know, blessed to be a part of this program, and thankful to every one of my guys.
Looking back on these last 4 years, and I know a lot has been talked about with your decision to attend yeshiva. I know you had some really good Division I opportunities in front of you, and I've read a lot about your decision, which was a faith-based decision, right? As you've been quoted as saying, I wanted to play for the Jewish community. I wanted to be a hero to people that desperately athletically are looking for a hero. Based on the decision you made and why you made it, and now where we're sitting now, do you feel like you accomplished that?
Yeah, no, on the accomplishment is yes, absolutely. I feel like we've definitely accomplished that here at Yeshiva, and I hope, yeah, and it inspires the next class and the next you know kid to try to become great, and hopefully it inspires the program to just reach new heights.
Talk about a little bit. So one of the things that I've been blown away at, Ryan, and watching you play is the intense fan interest. I was thinking, I remember where I was watching the on demand of, it was the game you lost somewhere. I don't know if it's Farmingdale, maybe. I think you lost to Farmingdale late in the season. And I was
Sure.
watching the on demand of that. And what I didn't pick up while I was watching it live was the buzzer sounds. And I mean, there are like 30 kids surrounding you. I remember you're signing an autograph with this piece of paper up against like the wall.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of Division III programs where there's a wonderful family environment like that. There is, but it's not quite that unique.
Right.
Have you felt pressure? I mean, if I were you and I was playing in front of this packed gym and all these people that are looking at me and counting on me, I think I would feel immense pressure. Have you felt that this year?
I don't see it as pressure. At the end of the day, I see it more as a responsibility to, try to work harder, and they help push me. But I just feel a lot of love, a lot of love from the Jewish community overall. When we lost to you guys, Illinois Wesleyan, we got a standing ovation. It wasn't like, they were hating on us. We have an amazing fan base, and they just show love, and they show so they're classy about it, and there's not a lot of pressure. No. Yeah, I feel like it inspires me to try to work harder and try to be great.
Huge, immense, just kudos to you. I think that on behalf of all of us that follow Division III, like, you've been so good for Division III basketball, Ryan. Like the example that you have set. There are younger players now, whether they're in high school or they're freshmen at some place around the country. There's people that have watched what you've done and will act differently because of it. And that's pretty amazing stuff, man. Like, what you've done for Division III basketball has been amazing. Do you look at it in a sense of the global picture of Division III? Yeshiva was kind of in its own bubble there for a little bit when you walked into town.
Right.
And now it's not in a bubble anymore. Do you kind of sense the big picture of where this team is taking things?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that people don't understand how good Division III basketball is. There are many players that are in Division III that can play Division I basketball. And I didn't know that coming in. And I learned that quickly. But to be able to shed a light on Division III basketball, and the press that we got, and I think it was just really good for Division III as a whole. And hopefully, the next team, comes in and takes that press, or hopefully Yeshiva keeps it going, and we keep it going. So, I think it was really good that what we've done here.
Pretty amazing stuff. And my money's on the next group building it right back up based on what Elliot's doing there and the type of kids he's bringing in. Wanted to just share a really short excerpt. When I got back from New York on December 31st, I had this email in my inbox, and it was a really nice note from a Jewish person and I can't remember where Aaron Frelich lives. I believe he lives in New Jersey. Let's see. No, he lives. I live in Long Island, New York, where he practices cardiology. So cardiologist, and he sent a really nice note about the Illinois Wesleyan Yeshiva game, and he said, the Yeshiva story, which I've been following these past 3 years, has been exhilarating to me. to watch young Orthodox Jewish boys succeed has brought back the visions of my own childhood. They have shattered all stereotypes of Jewish boys not being athletic enough to make it. I can't even begin to describe the ethnic pride I have when I watch them compete and win games during the 50-game streak. You've got 100 more notes than me like that, thousands probably. What does it mean to you to have kind of inspired the Judaism world? What does that kind of note mean to you when you hear that kind of stuff?
It's truly humbling, and it's a dream come true. That's kind of what I envisioned when going to Yeshiva University, and that was kind of the vision that Elliot Steinmetz and I talked about. And the fact that we've gotten it here is just a dream come true, and we've accomplished what we came here to accomplish. Obviously, everything would be better if we're still in the tournament, still dancing, but sometimes it's bigger than basketball. And I felt like what we've done here is definitely bigger than basketball. The fact that we're able to inspire people to be a little bit more prideful, to be Jewish, or some people to even, start observing, start wearing a yarmulke to work, that's just a dream come true. And, the kids around the world, if they're proud to be Jewish and they're not afraid to, wear their yarmulke in public and, wear it playing basketball. And if that's what we accomplish here, it's a dream come true.
Yeah, that's very well said. And that you've played a huge part in that. And I think that is what's happening. And that's kind of Elliot has used the term like change the world type stuff. And that's change the world type stuff right there. Right. Want to get into the Illinois Wesleyan craziness just a little bit, not so much details of the game, maybe more the before and after, but you're not a big social media guy as far as I know, which is probably a very smart thing. But I know you were aware of the buildup to that game. And what was your awareness of all the craziness surrounding that game on December 30th, like leading up to it? What were you hearing and feeling, and how was that all on your end?
Yeah, I mean, everybody in the Jewish community was talking about it, and everybody in Division III basketball was talking about it. That was supposed to be the game of the year, and people were excited. Yeshiva never played a ranked team, and then we play them in the NSAC, like their top 5 team or top 4 team. Were you guys 3 or 4 at the time?
Yeah, 4. I think
we just got ranked 1. So it was kind of crazy, and you guys have faced, really good teams and beat really good teams at that point. You beat Oshkosh at that point. You beat, a few really good teams at that point, and we didn't really, we didn't really play anybody at that point. So it was exciting, and it was like, okay, now let's see what's up. And, walking through that game, I get to every game 2 hours and 15 minutes before every game. It's my routine. I get there and there's a line like to the library, right, which is across the street. If you guys don't know, it's literally across the street. They were lined up in the middle of the street, not letting cars go. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is insane. This is insane. And finally they smartened it out and curved the line, down the sidewalk. But, the amount of press and fan base we got for that game is just not only great for Yeshiva, it's great for, Division III basketball, that there could be that kind of excitement. And I think there could be. So it was really cool.
Well, I've told people that, I've been following Division III basketball for about 32 years since I was a freshman at Illinois Wesleyan. And I've never felt that kind of intensity of a game day. I've been to Final Fours and other big games.
Right.
I mean, when I got to ride the bus with the team from the hotel to the gym, and I'm telling you, when the guys got off the bus, the atmosphere of the people in the line, and then the atmosphere in the gym as people started to get in there, and then leading up to the tip. I mean, I don't know that I ever will feel that environment ever again. I mean, as a player leading up to the tip, could you feel the electricity in the Max Stern that night?
Absolutely, and they were just ready to erupt at any moment, and unfortunately, we didn't give them the chance to, or Illinois Wesleyan didn't give us the chance to. But they were, ready. It was electric. It was definitely electric. It was, it was an unbelievable atmosphere to play basketball in.
Would you agree that in terms of the game, the way I look back on that is that, I think the Titans looked like the team that had played more games like that,
Yes,
and that had a big factor to do. Now,
absolutely.
if you played that game now, where you've got the St. Joe game under your belt, you got the Illinois Wesleyan game, you got the Johns Hopkins game. I think we can all agree that that's not a 13 or a 20-point margin game. That it kind of snowballed on you. But look, Luke Yoder and Corey No hit those 2 shots, right? And I think it was 6-0, I believe. I mean, do you agree with that? That it was kind of like Illinois Wesleyan had played in a bunch of these games and you guys hadn't. And if you got another chance, that game would look a little different, right?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. It turns out I believe every game that we lost this year started out with giving up a corner open 3. So we did it to Farmingdale, St. Joe's, Long Island, and Hopkins hit a corner 3 to start the game. So do I think it'd be different outcome? Yes. In the sense it wouldn't be a 13-point game.
It'd be a very close game.
It would be a close game. It'd be, down to the wire, and whoever's hot that night, I think, is winning that game. But can't run that back. But Yeshiva gets you guys next year. So
that's correct. And
yeah.
After the game, I wanted to ask you about that. Was also one of the more unique things I've ever seen in my life. Is usually 2 teams beat each other's brains in for a couple hours and then they go their separate ways and one gets on a bus, and that's not what happened. Like the players were just talking and kind of getting together. The fans were getting together, Illinois Wesleyan fans and Yeshiva fans. I mean, at one moment, your mom's talking to Pete Lambesis. I'm like, yeah. Pete just guarded her son in this knockdown drag out for 2 hours.
Right.
You've got, Gabe's talking to Pete over here. You're with Matt Laritz. Like, what led up to that special post-game environment there in the Max Stern before everyone went their separate ways that night?
I think, listen, Illinois Wesleyan is a super classy team with a bunch of really good kids and a bunch of really good guys that are, they're nice people. They're competitors. They're going to go at you for the whole, 40 minutes, and they're going to go at you. But at the end of the game, they were just very nice people. And, we were kind of schmoozing throughout the game, and, our fans were, in awe of you guys, and, you guys came in and whooped us, and they were impressed. And, the fact that you guys were very personable, and, you guys, were open to it. And we were just, it was just a really fun environment to be in, and something you don't see always. And I think it's special, and something that we're all going to remember for the rest of our lives.
I agree. I'll never forget that game. And look, I've developed dozens of lifelong friendships from a basketball game that happened that night. And so more than basketball kind of moment. Right. I want to ask you, I got a lot of more things to ask you, but I want to ask you about your family and the role that they have played. I started talking to your father about 2 years ago, kind of like, 2-3 years ago, I was in who's Yeshiva? They can't be any good. Like, I've never heard of them. I was in that camp, started talking to your dad a little bit behind the scenes, and he is a great dude, man. He is a competitive guy. And man, if I say something on Twitter he doesn't like, he's going to tell me about it. And Absolutely. So we've had an awesome relationship. Your mom is the most amazing in-game presence in Division III. When they make the all-mom first team All-American this year, Laurel Turell is probably the player of the year. Yeah. Like I've never seen anyone hype up a crowd like your mom. This Jack guy, dude's out of control, shows up on the bottom show. He's pumped up like crazy. The guy's insane. And, I hope your sister, I hope Austin is kind of the quiet one of the group. I don't know that to be true, but talk about the role of your family in this whole journey that you've been on.
I mean, my mom has been screaming and cheering on the crowd like that since first grade, before I could, do anything with a basketball. So she's just been incredibly supportive. And, My dad's same way. We've always competed, even if it was in the front yard when we were just playing 2-on-2 with me and my dad versus Jack and one of his friends. And even playing golf today, we compete. That's about the only sport he can compete in at this point. So he's just a really, he's very competitive, and Jack, all along has been incredibly supportive, about as supportive as an older brother can be. He's been to every game he's possibly could have been at. And growing up playing against him and his friends, he's 4 years older than me. That definitely had something to do with me
Oh,
getting
sure.
better and progressing. And I learned a lot of my post moves and stuff from him. So just having that kind of support group around me, it's just been amazing and a dream come true. And Austin at home always cheering us on and sending me texts after every game and saying what a great job and stuff like that. And my uncles and aunts and grandparents doing the same thing. It's just the support system has just been incredible.
Well, and I will say, 9 times out of 10, when you run into a young man that's doing impressive things and being a role model, you can look to that young man's family and they're a reflection. So kudos to my friend Brad. I got to meet your mom after the game that night. She came over, gave me a big hug, and I've met Jack in person and talked to him a little bit since then. So kudos to your family. I know that they have played a huge role in this. Another question I had for you is explain what the dual curriculum means at
Sure.
Yeshiva. There's this balance of kind of like secular and religious studies that I want to make sure people understand. What does that mean when you guys refer to the dual curriculum?
Yeah, so we have, Judaic and Hebrew studies in the morning, and then we'll have our regular, college courses in the afternoon. So that's why we have 6 a.m. practices normally. And I'm gonna take you through the day. So we get 6 a.m. practices, or 6 to 6:30. Um, and then after that, I personally have classes from 9 to 12:30. I have a shear class, which is like a class with, a rabbi, and it's one teacher, one rabbi, and we learn, Judaic studies and do that. And then after that, I have, depending on what day, I'll have a class at 1, a class at 3, and a class at 5. And hopefully, some days I'll have a free period in between those. Some days I'll have off, depending on the schedule. But between those hours, I always try to get to the gym or get a lift in and stuff like that. But it's definitely a long day, but something that's, you won't get anywhere else.
It's really unique, and that's one of the things I want to make sure people understand is how different that side of it is than a lot of other places. Now there's plenty of schools in Division III that are faith-based, like Wheaton in the CCIW. So it's always interesting to me to learn all of these intricacies of the schools that we're watching play basketball. I can't do this interview without asking about Coach Steinmetz. I've gotten to know Elliot a little bit over the last couple of years. He's a really, really unique guy. He's a great guy. I know you guys have a very special relationship. Just talk about the role that Elliot's played, not just basketball wise, but kind of in your life here the last 4 or 5
Yeah,
years.
I mean, there's no one I'd rather play for in my college career than Elliot Steinmetz. He's more than a coach. Off the court, he's here to listen to your problems and struggles and give you advice here and there. And he's just been like truly an amazing person in my life and a mentor in my life that I really appreciate and love. I remember when he was recruiting me as a freshman, I always had that connection with him. And he's always been there with me and for me, and supported me on my decisions, and just been there for me. So there's no one I'd rather play for, and I'm truly grateful for him and this program.
And that offense he runs is probably the most perfect offense in the world for you and for his personnel, right? You
Yeah.
guys run this motion offense. You're not running set plays. You're running offense where guys are making individual decisions at every point. You're screening, you're moving. would you agree that there's not a better offense in Division III for you to play in than Elliott's? Is that
Right.
correct?
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he lets the players make the decisions, and it's hard to do that as a college basketball coach. But what his philosophy is, I recruited good guys and I recruited smart players, and his philosophy is, if you're playing in the game, you can see things more than you can see as a coach, and so he lets us do our thing, and this offense, we're always top 5 in the country, and so it's working, and it's fun because everybody gets touches, everybody gets opportunities, and and it's a really good offense.
Wanted to ask you, Ryan, about the Skyline, because when you dig into something, you learn, right? And so I'm looking at, I've never heard of the Skyline Conference before I started talking about Yeshiva, or I did, but I didn't watch any games. And I thought the Skyline Conference was just not a good conference, and that's why you're beating everyone by 40 points. And then I started watching, Farmingdale and some of these other teams, Manhattanville. Like every other conference, it's a tough league to play in, and there are very, very good players on all of these teams. Talk about competing in the Skyline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every year, I think the top 3 or 4 teams can all compete, and all are really good. I remember my sophomore year, there's a kid named Elijah Lott from Purchase, who was a definite D1 caliber player. Was a really good player. He averaged like 29 and 7, and he was a really good player. And then Omer from I forget his last name, from Sarah Lawrence, who's playing professional basketball right now. I forget where he's playing, but he's playing pro ball right now and playing really well apparently. But and then Farmingdale's always really good, and always have they're always really well coached, and have really good players, and so I think it's surprising to some people. If you guys if the games get watched, you'll see that there are teams that can compete, and there are teams that are talented, and hopefully it keeps on getting better, and hopefully down the line it gets some respect around the Division III basketball world. But I totally get how other conferences are better. That is true, but hopefully this conference gets better over time.
It was the Farmingdale game at your place, the one you lost, that made me realize, like, they're really good. I
Right.
can't remember that one kid's name. I can picture him. I mean, they had several guys that could play for anybody that were really,
Right.
really good.
Right.
I thought you got some other really tough challenges along the way. You lost that one other conference game. So yeah, I mean, that's why I encourage people to dig into stuff. It's one thing to just say something without knowing something, like I did, like the Skyline's no good. You
Right.
start watching these teams play, and you realize, like Coach Dernbach at Lacrosse said the other day in his press conference, every conference you play in is tough, and the Skyline's a tough conference. Hey, I wanted to ask you about these crazy Yeshiva basketball fans. We got to talk about this. Ryan, what's the deal? These people are out of control. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I've been following this thing 32 years. How would you describe the Max fans? What's going on here?
They're the best fans in college basketball, in my opinion. I think they're amazing. When you have fans creating podcasts, and fans, making talk shows, and people just talk about it all the time. I mean, everybody has their own opinions on what the team should be doing and what's happened. Every Sabbath I go to, somebody has a different opinion on what we need to do to make it to the next level. And, the pride aspect is just really, really cool and unbelievable to have that around, a Division III Jewish basketball team, it's just really cool. And hopefully it keeps going, and people stay prideful, and people, still love it.
Yeah, that I would just say, I know that I hope a lot of them get to watch this, and I've never seen anything like that in terms of passion and dedication. And I get into it with these folks on occasion, Ryan. I got to tell them about strength of schedule and results versus regional ranked opponents. I got to
Right.
tell them that the top 25 poll doesn't really mean anything. So we kind of go at it sometimes, but I feel like we always end up friends But I got to give a huge tip of the cap to Yeshiva Nation, because off the charts, the most passionate fan base in Division III. And you almost have to feel, like you're playing for a Division I program with
Yeah.
all that attention you guys get from those fans, correct? I mean, do you feel like
No,
you're playing for a
absolutely.
big time program, right?
I did. I mean, yes, absolutely. I mean, the fan base is, you know, like I said before, I think better than any other fan base in college basketball. I mean, what other school has this? Yeah, there are other schools obviously that have school pride, but I don't think any school has yeshiva pride. And it's just shout out to the fans and the Max faithful. We love and appreciate everything that they've done with this program and for this program, and coming to every game, no matter what time, they're gonna be there. Um, I know a lot of people go, "Oh, what are you guys gonna do in the tournament when it's far away?" I'm like, "We'll have fans. Don't worry about it."
Right.
Um, so we're just truly grateful for all that support.
Couple more questions here. Gabe Leifer, a year older than you, when you came in, he was there already, I believe. And you two really, what a dynamic duo you formed. Talk a little bit about Gabe as a player, as a teammate, as a friend. What's he meant to you and the Max over the last several years?
As a player, he's the best passer I've ever played with, the most selfless guy I've ever played with. He's a guy really not looking for his own personal stats or goals or points. And a perfect example of that would be the alley-oop play in the championship game.
Yes.
He didn't score to that point, and he didn't even look back at me. He just heard up, right? And I didn't know he was going to throw it until the ball was in the air, and I look up, I'm like, oh my gosh, he actually threw it. I have to go get it now. So he's just an incredible basketball player, an incredible teammate. He's totally selfless and wants the team success. The ultimate winner. Went 36-0 in his high school days, in his senior year. And he makes every winning play possible. And then as a guy, he's just always there, for you, and incredibly, incredibly kind and humble. And he's just a really good person, and I'm glad to have him in my life.
And now he's just an old corporate married guy, like me
go.
and some other people, right? That's where he is now.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Exactly.
I want to ask about, I never know if I'm supposed to say Shabbat or Shabbos. What's the T and the S? I don't get it. Can you tell me which word is it? What is it?
It's either or, whatever your preference is.
Okay. The thing that starts happening at sundown on Friday.
Yeah.
Now I want you to tell people what that experience is like, because here's what I knew about it. This is on me right here. It's like a few years ago, I started becoming friends with these yeshiva people, and I'd be talking to them on Twitter, and like Friday nights, they'd just be gone. Like, where is Poppers? Whitworth is playing, and I need to talk to Poppers. He's gone. He shows up like the next day late. And then people are like, hey, look, there's this thing. So I Google it. Now I know all about it. But I want you, Ryan Turell, to tell me, because I know it's a very, very, very important spiritual thing and part of your faith. Tell everyone what happens during those 24 hours.
It's unbelievable. I recommend Shabbos to even people who aren't Jewish. I mean, that's how amazing it is. We don't use electronics from sundown Friday night till sundown, after sundown, Saturday night. And it's really a great time, to rest and decompress from the week, and, really, spend time with your family, spend time with your friends. And there's no electronics. You're not on your phone. You're having real conversations. You're there. You're present. And the sense of community around it is just unbelievable. And something that is, even if you're not, Jewish or religious, and you experience it, you're just like, wow, this is really incredible. We're my mom's the type of person to invite, random people over and all for a Shabbat meal. And, there are people who aren't Jewish that come and they celebrate it with us, and, they love it. They love it. And it's just an incredible experience.
Yeah, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people I've met through Yeshiva basketball about this, and I have a huge appreciation for what it means, because you hear people talk about how important and unique it is. For me, it was, I didn't get it. I just
Right.
knew that the max, all this, like they can't play games on Friday nights. They can't play early Saturday. If we meet them in the national championship, the title game against the max, it's going to have to be another day or time. But in all seriousness, I appreciate you laying that out for people, because the chance to educate people, people learning new things is really cool. I had to go through that, and
Right.
I have the utmost respect for Shabbat and how much it means to all of you guys. Um, as we start to wind down a little bit here, here's some statistics here. The all-time leading scorer in Division III history has 2,940 points, 2,940. That's Andre Foreman from Salisbury. He graduated in 1992. So he's a guy about my age, a little bit older. You have 2,158 points. So you're 783 behind. And this year you scored 786. So I'm not a math major here, Ryan Turell, but I'm telling you that, like, if you were to return and score 786 points, you could be the all-time leading scorer in Division III basketball. Now, that said, I don't know if there's an answer to this question, but I will get kicked out of Yeshiva Nation if I do not ask RT11 for his plans next year. Ryan Turell, can you tell us, have you played your last game as a MAC? Are you returning? Talk us through where you are. And if you can't answer, you can't answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to make any announcements yet. I'm definitely going to discuss further with my family and with all my friends and close people around me. I'm not ready to make any announcements yet, but I'm definitely going to see what my future holds, and we'll see what goes on.
November 2022, Yeshiva at Illinois Wesleyan. I mean, you could go light up the Shirk Center for 52. I'm adding things to the conversation that I need you to consider. Think of that
Yeah,
beautiful big gym. Think all those people chirping at Yeshiva during that game, and you
yeah.
scoring like 52. That's got to be a factor, Ryan Turell.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, Gabe Leifer still has a half a year to come back. So we may
That's
uh,
true.
tournament push next year. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm not. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Um, Professional basketball. Let me just, I believe that that's clearly a dream of yours and a plan. Is it fair to say you want to play professional basketball?
Yes, absolutely. It's always been a dream of mine, and since growing up, and yeah, 100%.
You've had a lot of NBA scouts come to games. You've got a chance there to get in the door and make a case, right, to earn your way. Um, what would it take for Ryan Turell currently as the player to get to the NBA? What development, what needs to happen for you to become a true NBA prospect that has a shot there?
Obviously I gotta put on some weight. Overall, I'm 195 now. I probably need to get to 210, 215. So I got some weight to put on. But at the end of the day, it's about making shots. And that's something I believe I can do. And every team needs it, and if I can hit a shot at that level from that range at that speed, I I think I got a chance. I think I got a chance. So just got to make shots.
Well, I was at the D3 Final Four in 2014 and watched Duncan Robinson play as a freshman. And I mean, it's not even close. You as a senior, him as a freshman, you're so far advanced from where he was at that point. Now he then went on to Michigan and he got a lot bigger, right? So you're talking about adding muscle and adding weight. But Duncan Robinson, you're a different player than Duncan Robinson. People ask me all the time, is that a good comparison? And in some ways it really is. You're both tall, lanky, kind of wing players that can do a lot, but you're a different player than Duncan. You can put it on the floor more. You score in different places. You're more versatile. He is an elite shooter, which you
Right.
are too.
Right.
But does the Duncan Robinson path, does it at least give you a little bit of like, hey, that if he can do it, I
Uh,
can do it.
no, absolutely. I mean, I think he's inspired so many people with his story and his path, and he's definitely inspired me to try to, attain that goal and reach that goal. And he truly is an inspiration to, all Division III basketball players, and all lower level basketball players, that you can make it as long as you put in the work. But he put in the work. He's always in the gym, early mornings, late at nights. He's in the gym. So, um, he shows you got to put in the work. It's what you do when no one's watching, and so that's something I live by, and it's something I'll continue to live by, and I got to put in the work.
And my last comment, then I'll turn it to you for your final comments, is around putting in the work. One of my biggest takeaways from that trip to New York, and thank you to Elliot for letting me come to your practice the day before the December 30th game. But I've told so many people since then that my biggest takeaway of that practice was that Ryan Turell was the last guy in the gym. You were shooting using that machine that kicks the ball back out. I'm not sure what that machine's called, but we all know what I'm talking about. I don't know how many shots you got up after practice, but it was an insane number. And I think our guys were coming into practice afterwards. And I remember the guys, I think it was later at dinner, saying like, yeah, we didn't know if we could go in the gym because, Ryan Turell was in there like shooting like 3,000 shots. And like, we didn't know if we should bug him. So like your work ethic, this isn't a question. This is just a statement. Your work ethic is the reason that you became a great player. You walked in the door with immense talent, Ryan, but what I hope Division III recruits and young guys that are freshmen and sophomores, like you put on, how much weight did you put on since your freshman year or your last year of high school? Let's say, how much weight?
Well, my last year of high school, I was 150, 155. My freshman year of college, I was 160.
You put on almost 40 pounds since you were in high school, right? And so the work, like changing your body, but you've probably shot more baskets than anyone in Division III is what I would bet. You've worked harder than anyone else, or at least as hard as whoever the next person is.
Right.
And I would just say kudos to you, because it's not, sometimes people say like, this guy's just an insane talent. He should be playing in Division I, but he's playing in Division III. You and I both know there's great players in Division III.
Absolutely.
So for you to do what you've done, it's not like you're just a mismatch. It's that you have worked hard. That's what's happened. You have worked hard, and huge kudos to you. It was an honor to meet you in person in New York. You couldn't have been, a more humble, nice individual. Just moments after this game that you lost and the streak ends, and you were just the most personable person that night. I just want to say thank you to you for that, and I want you to close us out. What do you want to leave Division III basketball Yeshiva fans with? I'm going to give it to you to close us out, Ryan.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and all the support we've gotten and all the press we've gotten, and I think truly is good, amazing for Division III basketball. And I just want to thank everybody for all the support and love that they've given us. I want to thank all the coaches and players and everybody I've played with, and my family, and everybody back home. I just want to thank all of you guys for all the support and love. And I'm going to be watching the rest of this tournament. I'm going to be quietly voting for Illinois Wesleyan, because I know you guys are all really good people, and I wish you guys nothing but success. And I think you guys have a really good shot this year, and I'll be quietly voting for you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, thank you for everything you've done for Division III basketball. There's that saying, like, leave something in a better spot than what you took on. And if you never play another game in Division III, you've already accomplished that. But I'm still, in the back of my head, there's visions of me at that Shirk Center in November, and there comes the Max taking the floor, and there's Ryan Turell. I think it could be a long shot, but I would kind of like to see that, Ryan Turell. So thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. You've done more podcasts than any person in Division III this year. I'm glad to finally have you in the QCast. Everyone, that's Ryan Turell, the All-American from Yeshiva. QCast Season 2, Episode 15. Thank you so much for tuning in. Ryan, you have a great day, and thanks again, my friend.
Thank you. You too, man. I really appreciate it.